K-pop demon hunters Haja Boy's breakfast meal and Huntrix meal have just dropped at McDonald's. They're calling this a battle for the fans. What do you say to that, Rumi?
It's not a battle. So glad the Saja boys could take breakfast and give our meal the rest of the day.
It is an honor to share.
No, it's our honor.
It is our larger honor.
No, really. Stop.
You can really feel the respect in this battle. Pick a meal to pick a side.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
At participating McDonald's while supplies last.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to The Unleashed. First of all, I want to thank you guys who have been watching from America, from Iran, even, and from Canada, Australia. I really, really do appreciate. Thank you, guys. Continue to watch. Just to remind you where you can watch it: Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon, and YouTube. So today, I have a very good friend. I know you're going to say I'm bringing one of my friends from Nigerian Law School. No, but he's a very good friend, a human rights lawyer. And I brought him here today so that we can see the landscape of what is happening in Nigeria. Mr. Martin Obono, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. So good to see you.
Really,
So many years.
indeed. How have you been?
I've been well. You took it from my mouth. Have you been?
How is practice? How is Nigeria since law school? Let's start from
Nigeria has been interesting since law school. The more things change, the more they look like the same. You know, the more things try to change, the more they remain the same. Actually, but I'd rather not look at Nigeria in general, but I'll look at the world in total, because as at the time we left law school, the world was not the way it was. You know, there was global peace. There was global peace, yes, but right now there's no global peace anywhere. At the time we were in law school, there was no entire region going through the kind of invasion that is currently happening, bombs flying over people's heads, over their roofs, and landing on killing children and all that. I mean, you could say perhaps there was isolated cases of wars here and there, or there were isolated cases of wars here and there, but now it's more pronounced. Have America invading North America, right? America invading Africa, Nigeria, America invading the Middle East, Iran, and then there is an entire war currently going on in the region, Lebanon, UAE, Iran, Kuwait. Everybody is just so the world has changed significantly since we left law school, and so has human rights. At the same time, so has international human rights. So has international humanitarian law has also evolved, because right now there is no respect. There is no respect for sovereignty, people's sovereignty. There's no respect for people's sovereignty essentially, and there's no respect for the Universal Declaration. So we're here.
I'm not sure whether I'm going to say whether there's always been peace. To me, I say it's always like a sleeping lion.
Okay.
It's always been there. It's just when it was going to happen.
Mhm.
And I think you're referring to recently what Trump did in northern Nigeria,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
The sovereignty of the states. But what I want to I'm gonna get there in a minute, but that's not really.
Oh, I was just trying to distract you
Just
from Nigeria. So
No,
but let's focus on Nigeria.
Yeah, you're not going to distract me from Nigeria. I'm so sorry, because
Let's focus on
Nigeria is
That's
so.
Mhm.
It's a whole lot of issue going on there,
Mhm.
as per human rights and bad governance, and how people are not really able to express their views for fear of what is going to happen.
Mhm.
As a lawyer, how has that affect your practice? How does that make you feel in Nigeria?
Okay, so
when people are being arrested for no reason, or even if there's any good reason, no process has been followed at all. It's just a matter of, because I can, we just take you off and go to detention without.
so should I play the devil's advocate here, or should I give you
Give us your view.
my view?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going
what-
to give you two views,
Yes.
and they also are mine, right?
Mhm.
So if there is no sin, there will be no redemption. We run to God because there is sin. We run to God because we feel He needs to save us.
Mhm.
So if there are no human rights violations, there will be no human rights law.
True.
And if there is no human rights law, there will be no human rights lawyer. So, does it make me feel okay that human rights of people are being trampled upon in Nigeria?
Mhm.
The answer is no. But is it normal or is it expected? Of course, 100% is expected for too many reasons. One of it is when you find yourself in an environment or in a country where there is high level of poverty,
Mhm.
you find yourself in a country where education, people go to school for education, but they end up getting certificates.
Mhm.
The level of education there is not of high quality, or is substandard, for example. You know, you then expect that, and then there is an inequality. There's a huge gap between the rich and the poor. That automatically, and then there are no social safety nets that can guarantee the welfare of citizens if they are pushed down the cliff. So it tells you clearly that there will be human rights violations. I mean, like you see in the European Union, where you have the horizontal and vertical direct effects, right? Human rights will always be affected where there are extremely rich people and there is an extreme poverty level in a country. So do you find multinational corporations like Shell, violating the rights of people in the Niger Delta? You find corporations in maybe Lagos, for example, multinational corporations in Lagos in the finance or fintech environment who also violate the rights of people in terms of labor rights. Okay, you will find governments or powerful people, like Dangote, for example, whose trucks consistently try to kill people on the roads, and there's little or no accountability in that regard. You'll find governments, people in government, governors, ministers, aides of the presidents, and the rest of them, who feel they have access to power. They will definitely use that power, abuse that power, absolutely, and ensure that they trample on the rights of ordinary citizens who do not have those powers, or who don't have commensurate powers or even knowledge to be able to fight back. And then you see the police itself, who is also supposed to safeguard and protect the citizens, right? They are then the ones who are seen at the top of the bottom of enforcement of the violation of human rights. So you find arbitrary arrests. You see, I'm owing you money. Instead of you to go to civil courts to get money back, you use police to intimidate me, my family. If you come to my house and I'm not there, you arrest my mother, you arrest my father, you arrest, So that is human rights violations, because at the end of the day, the Supreme Court has also stated in plethora of cases that the police has no business in debt recovery. It's a civil matter. It's not a criminal matter. It's not a crime that I'm owing you, right? And then you cannot arrest another person in the stead of another person, okay? And then the police still continues to do that. So they, as opposed to being the ones upholding human rights, they are the ones enforcing the violation of human rights, as opposed to enforcing the protection of human rights.
Well, thank you for that long answer, and I hope the audience understand what you're trying to explain. Can I just bring it back to a little bit? You've touched on the area I wanted to go next. Well, so I will follow it up to that, where they use a civil matter, and then they go to court. Do you think, even though there's a lot of criticism about the use of social media, about what is being reported in Nigeria, do you think at least the social media is able to ensure that people are held accountable?
Social media
Where
has,
there is a human right violation.
social media has done a lot of good when it comes to violation of human rights, or human right violations. You see, when people drag you on social media, there's the drag and cancel culture that is even making people to avoid committing certain kind of crimes, right? Because the idea is that if you're being dragged, your name is tarnished, the internet never forgets. And so you would definitely not come out of that. There are a lot of people who have sought redress. For example, Dave Umahi, the Minister of Works, right, who was owing a woman a couple of millions of naira, maybe hundreds, I don't know. But at the end of the day, he was called out on social media. She got support from human rights activists and lawyers and the rest of that. And she kept on calling him out on, frequently. And then at the end of the day, Umaya had to come to the table to settle her, and tell her, it's okay. And this was something that had dragged on for a very long time. We've seen people who have been, who make videos of and report police officers and say, oh, this is what you are doing. And then immediately the abuse of the system, the kind of abuse ends there. So at some points, yeah, social media has really helped to help people seek redress or get some form of redress in terms of the enlightenment or the awareness that has been drawn to certain human rights violations.
I'm just going to go to a different one that it's most I'm passionate about, worries me a lot, because I think the beginning is to educate people from the early stage. I'm going to the girl child. I know men, the boy child is also abused, but mainly in Africa and mainly in Nigeria. Oh, I say, in Africa,
All over the world.
all over the world, but
let your focus be Nigeria.
Yeah, focus in Nigeria. Yeah. And you see the girl child not protected. The states are not helping. The laws are not there to help anybody. I'm just going to bring it back to what brought a lot of awareness to what has happened. For example, Regina Daniels, when it happened, it really, really touched me a lot.
Like, she's not a girl child.
A lot of no.
Okay, but go on.
It's not. At least her case has brought awareness to a lot of girls, young girls, to say yes. Wrong decisions were made. Remember, there's not a lot of guidance too much in place. People don't know their rights. People don't know these things shouldn't happen, and they find themselves can't live a marriage they're not happy with, or just end up in a marriage they're not even prepared to. Is there anything you think that should be done? How can we lend our voice, including me?
So I think the first thing is, again, the problem is enormous. Why would Regina Daniels marry Ned Nwoko? Poverty. Right? Whether you say it's poverty of cash or poverty of the mind.
It's both.
Exactly. So, first of all, we need to go back to the drawing board in terms of empowering the...
Hence, I was saying, do you think... Sorry, not cutting you. I'm going to let you finish. Hence, I was saying, is there something we should do to at least educate our young ones at an early stage?
Right. So, education is quite important because education, sexual choices and rights, sexual reproductive rights is a very important education to give to people at a very early age, especially from primary school to junior secondary up until their secondary education is completed. That's one, or two, rather. And the idea that people at a very tender age or young age, the girl child needs to be empowered enough to understand that marriage is not a like an end goal. It's not a trophy. It's not an achievement. It's not that. Not all that. Except you make it one.
Yeah.
You're not born as a human being to be someone's wife, as it were. You are born as an individual. You are born with potentials. You're born with skills. You're born with potentials essentially that you can hone and develop into skills that will make you complete human. One of the biggest challenges I see around is that people are not yet complete before they get married. So you're supposed to be whole. You know yourself, understand your financial capabilities, understand your mental capabilities, and understand a whole lot about your body and yourself before you delve into getting married. Because at the end of the day, marriage tests you in all aspects, right? And if you don't know yourself, you will not be able to give the best of yourself. So when you pick a young girl who is supposed to be in the classroom, who is supposed to be learning or acquiring skills, and subjugate her or subject her to marriage, and early marriage in particular, then you kill her essentially. You kill her dream. You kill her dream of becoming an Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. You kill her dream of becoming Chimamanda. You kill her dream of becoming better than any of these people, because at the end of the day, that is what trickles down to what is called democratic dividends. Democratic dividends in terms of how do we contribute to the GDP of our own country. Because if you do not contribute to yourself, first of all, if you cannot contribute to your personal development, there's nothing you can give. It's like saying you cannot give what you don't have. So at the end of the day, a society that needs to thrive, a society that needs to grow, has to understand that it is very important to empower the girl child with education, with skills, with soundness of mind as well, for them to be able to make informed decisions. Even parents need to understand, especially because there is no much information. The Child Rights Act has been domesticated, I think, in the 36 states of the Federal Republic. Yeah.
Last I checked, I thought it was 25.
No. I think it's not up to 35, but the last I checked was 31 actually. So the Child Rights Act can bite itself. It's been domesticated in majority of the states in Nigeria. So it is very important that we respect that Child Rights Act that says that you cannot marry off a girl under 18 that is not an adult. You understand? So at the end of the day, that Child Rights Act, because it also supersedes or takes precedence over what you see in Sharia laws and the rest of other customary laws that allow for children to be married out. So we need to educate ourselves. We need to educate young people to understand that this is very critical, and that the contribution of the girl child is very important to the development of society.
Yeah, but therein lies the problem. Because we have this massive conflict of custom, cultural. Before I even go on, when I listen to Regina, sorry, I just keep going back to Regina Daniel because it just, it's one of those things that is quite for women and girl child. I heard her say she's been supporting her family from the age of 18. She's the one doing all of that. To put such on the shoulder of a young woman, and she doesn't even understand that that's not her duty. We have entitlement culture. Everyone expect you to do this. Not just her alone. So hence I think it's not just, we can say that the laws, they exist. Unfortunately, I haven't been to Nigerian law school. Now I do know now that this law exists. It's just that we don't think accountability and there's no enforcement, even if the judges made the orders, as you know. It will be just to educate even the mothers to know how to, that these children are not, it's not that they are not the golden gifts. They are not there to fend for you, to take care of them and have that at their mindset and the beginning, because every time I think about it, I can imagine. I don't know. It may have happened because I was just even speaking to my sister or the other day. I say maybe my mom died ages ago. She may have been a child bride. I don't know, because every time I calculate the age of my elder sister, it just doesn't add up. I tell my sister, I think our mom was a child bride. But from my own upbringing now, I know it's never going to happen. Not obviously not to me and not to any of my nieces, no matter where we're coming from, which is why I'm saying I don't think it's only classroom education. It is more for us to talk about it. Let even the ones that are not educated begin to tell them, because
So you see, I think that there are two things. There are two sides to this coin, right? I understand that no child begged to be born. Okay, so it's the primary responsibility of the parents to fend and provide for that child. But we also live in a society where you are your own local government.
how do you change that? What can we do?
Now, do you understand the concept of being your own local government? You provide for your
everything.
electricity,
Yeah,
you
I
provide
do
for
that.
your education, you do all that. And some parents use their all to raise their children. They literally lived for their children.
And they should.
As they should, you know. And but if you then look at it, they could have given you the basic, right? Sent you to public secondary school, sent you to public, which they could afford so that they can live their own lives and save their own money for retirement. But there are parents who also spent all their monies, their retirement money, to give their children the best. So it's like an investment. So just hold on.
Okay.
It's like an investment. What I'm saying may not be as it should be, what is obtainable, but you also need to take into consideration, into account, that these are realities, right? So if a mother or a father or both parents decide to give their children and give them the best, and they don't even leave, and this child turns out to be the best among equals in terms of their peers, but perhaps gets a good job because of the kind of schools their parents sacrifice themselves to, and then begins to earn money, and then you say that they should not look after their parents. I think that is a very Western culture. And
maybe let me finish, then I'll clarify.
okay,
And
no,
although I
maybe you
don't-
need to clarify, because you know why I have an issue with this. When I was in school in this country, I had a classmate who gave birth, and her mother was charging her per hour to look after her own grandchild. Right? She was charging her half her hourly rate where she used to work to look after her own child, her own grandchild. It broke my heart in many ways, right? Because I consider family. Do you understand? And I can't even explain how that made me feel. Like, why would my mother come and look after my own, do omugo? And I also understand the concept of, because I talk about this also, the idea that care work should be compensated, right? So if my mom comes to my house, for example, and in the real sense of it, the whole concept of, I'm digressing too much, because this is a very broad topic and I don't even understand. I don't think we can exhaust this thing in 1 hour or 2 hours. But I will need to make this point very quickly. The concept of omugo or omugoism, if there is anything like that.
I think we're
Hold on.
just-
I'm using that as an example.
Yeah,
Right.
because we're veering off what I want, but I'll clarify.
I'm
what you
using that
say.
as an
Just-
example.
Okay.
A father or a mother comes to your house, and once they are leaving, they don't leave empty-handed. that is a form of reward, right? So when we sit back and begin to say that people should not consider their children meal tickets, we need to consider it within the context of our environment and our society and our culture, right? Because again, you grew up in the UK to a large extent. You were here. If you turn 18 or you have a child rather, the government has social safety nets. They pay your child if you're not able to work. They pay you to take care of your child. No, there's a welfare system. In Nigeria, you are your welfare system, essentially. You send your children to the school, you do all that. But I get your point. Your point is that you don't give responsibility to children who are still growing, who don't have anything other than they just need to learn, they need to develop themselves. That is wickedness. That is sheer wickedness. A parent should not abdicate their responsibility to a growing child or a growing young adult who is still struggling to find
Thank you
their
for
way.
clarifying that, because I don't want my audience to go away thinking that that's there are a lot of different contexts. That's what I was saying at the beginning. The child is already being brought up thinking, I have these responsibilities. I have to be the one to take care of this. And coming back to your friend, the UK one that you said I was taking care of, sometimes it could be the they want the child to learn some responsibility. I'm not saying that that's most of the issue, because most time grandparents here, you can even hear them saying, "Oh, the bank of mom and dad."
How many discounts does USAA Auto Insurance offer? Too many to say here. Multi-vehicle discount, safe driver discount, new vehicle discount, storage discount, legacy.
How many
discount.
discounts will you stack up? Tap the banner or visit usaa.com/auto discounts. Restrictions apply.
It's tax season, and at LifeLock, we know you're tired of numbers. But here's a big one you need to hear. Billions. That's the amount of money in refunds the IRS has flagged for possible identity fraud. Now here's another big number. 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it guaranteed. One last big number. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit lifelock.com/podcast for the threats you can't control. Terms apply.
They support a lot. The big difference, what we think, I think what you're seeing is, back in Nigeria, like I could stay with my sister for years and she probably will not charge me any rent. Because me and her are coming from different place, right? And that's where she's coming from. But most people, if you start working here, when you've come to that certain age, they expect you to contribute. They expect you, because they're teaching you responsibility. Those are two different matters. But I'm glad you've clarified that already. So I'm going to leave that child topic for a bit, because it's quite broad, like you say, for every one of us. Let us just segue to another topic. What is going back to the laws that are in place to arrest people who are quite not just people who owe money? Why is it that the EFCC tend not to use the law that is in place? I'm just veering off topic now. Let's leave human rights alone for a bit. Because I know you are interested in politics as well, a bit. So
Who told you that?
I'm just pivoting now into politics. I'm going to pivot into that. So, because
How do you know that? Okay, but
you're probably going to be the next governor of your state anytime soon. Don't worry. I'm calling it here first. Don't worry. Or maybe you probably
funder, financier.
Don't worry. It's probably going to happen. But anyway, no, that's good. So recently, I just been heard. I didn't even know that El Rufai was arrested. Is he still in detention?
Yes, he is.
Why is it that is the only one they arrest? I understand that, of course, when you are a governor, it protects you, or a president, you can't be arrested. But they arrest these people, it never gets to nowhere. We've never seen anyone that has been convicted.
No,
Or
I can't say that. I can list people that
please, who have been in
convicted.
politics, because I don't know any.
Uh,
And maybe I've not been paying attention. All I see is the Yahoo or maybe the petty criminals.
I mean, I understand your biases and your sentiments, right? But yeah, we have politicians who have been convicted. In as much as they get conviction, and then maybe in court of appeal they get. So I can name a few. Recently, Oji Okalu was arrested, was prosecuted. He is working free, but he's not working free. He was discharged by the court of appeal, but he wasn't acquitted. That's the technical. As I mean, you're a lawyer, you know what that means.
Well, nothing has happened to him.
Exactly, but he was in prison for a while. You have seen there are a couple of politicians like Farouk Lawal in Kano, who was the majority leader of the House, who was prosecuted for giving bribe to Femi Otedola for requesting bribe from Femi Otedola during the fuel subsidies scam and all that during Goodluck Jonathan. There are a couple of them, I can't remember exactly right now, but I do understand that that's a handful compared to what should have been done, right? El-Rufai is going through political witch hunts. We all know that. El-Rufai is going through political. I don't like El-Rufai for one bit. El-Rufai, because of El-Rufai, I couldn't go to Kaduna for a long time because we were at loggerheads, you know, in terms of political ideas and human rights violations that he was carrying out, right? El-Rufai does not deserve what he's getting, but he deserves what he's getting. Okay, he doesn't deserve what he's getting because there's nobody that should be above the law, just as nobody should be beneath the law. All right, so he doesn't deserve that. However, when karma comes knocking, sometimes it screws you in different holes that you never even imagined that any screw could be driven through. So that's what he's basically going through at the moment, because when he was governor, he abused the rights of people and he took the laws into his hands. He arbitrarily detained people somewhere, even missing until date. We don't know where that data is. So El-Rufai's case is different. In as much as I do not believe that he should be held without due process. But in the real sense of it, ICPC came out yesterday and said that his detention was approved by the court. So the court essentially extended his 14 days.
Custody time.
Yes, his custody time from the last 14 days because of whatever evidence they are looking for. They are still carrying out the, investigation. But I do know that he would come out. He's a politician. He's one of them. He's detained by his own friends. It's his friends that are holding him.
I mean,
they will reach a compromise. And it's because of politics, because El-Rufai is a very deadly politician that you must not allow to roam the streets, especially when you're in opposition.
In what sense? What makes him deadly? Example. You can't just say. Because my audience will want to know. What makes him deadly?
What makes El-Rufai deadly? Go and look at his records, his antecedents of the level of the way he chased what's his name? Audu Mekori. Audu Mekori almost died because of El-Rufai. Audu I was part of his legal team essentially. You know, and I know what Audu went through, detention without medication and all that.
Let's leave them alone.
So okay, we'll leave them alone.
Let's leave El-Rufai because we don't have a lot of time. I just want to touch on another topic. Sorry, cutting that off. What do you think is happening in the Nigerian landscape of all this defection? It's like it's just one party now running the government.
I don't consider this it doesn't make Tinubu look good in my books, right?
That's what I said.
In a household, there are also always dissenting voices, you know. The fact that people can disagree with you and then you can convince them with a superior argument makes you a better person as opposed to bullying your way through or cajoling people to follow you using the carrot and stick approach. So politics and democracy is a game of ideas, right? It's because all I've heard all the governors tell me, you know, some of the governors, I talk to them, and some of them I listen to them on air, both in private and in public. They've all said the same thing, that the president is giving them too much money that nobody has ever given to them. That's why
They say that.
Yes.
It's giving them so much
That
money.
the president, there is no president in Nigeria that has given
I
them
thought
the
I thought Nigeria is broke.
and that's actually the truth, because he took off subsidy and he gave money to the governors much more than any other president has done. So they actually have so much money to work, right? And that's why all of them are standing on his mandate. So it is not the concept of idea, it's not the concept of ideology, it's not the concept of any other thing, but the idea that, I give you carrot and you follow me, or I dangle carrots before you follow me.
So Nigeria is going to remain in this chronic condition for a very long time.
So I disagree, because I disagree that Nigeria will remain
easily
that
bought.
way, because the governors are being bought, are Nigerians being bought? That's the big question.
Well,
however, again, if Nigerians decide to revolutionize their democracy, right, they will. All right, so it all depends on them. So I've not given up on the country.
Who is on them? I say it's everyone. Don't say on them. You are included in the.
No, I've not given up on us. I've not given up on us. Let me use the word us, because if we are ready to make or effect change or kick this guy out of office in 2027, we will do it.
You know that is a tall order.
It is not a tall order. There is a way you need people to rig an election. Do you understand? You need people to rig an elections. If you don't have the people to man those polling units and rig the elections on your behalf and write those results for you,
is it not just doing that
cannot.
now?
No, that's my point.
By those governors.
So the governors cannot write results.
But they can get people.
That's what I'm saying. Those people, if they can't now get those people to write those results for them from polling units to ward level, right, there's going to be a problem. It happened during Goodluck Jonathan.
Oh, Nigeria is such a headache. Do you think they should have released Nnamdi Kanu?
I don't want to talk about Nnamdi Kanu. Because in my books, Nnamdi Kanu should actually be in jail, as he were, because you don't declare yourself a constitutional authority in a country where there's free movement of goods. Free movement of person and free movement of goods. Why are you? So he was detained arbitrarily. That is wrong, right? But does his sentence hold water? Of course it does, right? Because people were killed. You terrorized people in the southeast. I was in Imo State when Nnamdi Kanu was doing all this nonsense. You will see Nnamdi Kanu, you park your car and start running. I ran. I was amongst those people. It was terrorizing everybody.
It's the killings.
So at the end of exactly, people died in Abia. People died in most of these places for no just cause, for nothing. So I don't want to talk about Nnamdi.
Your 2 cents is enough. What you've contributed already is enough. I get you, because there's a lot of different argument going. Should he be released or should it not be released? I don't know.
He was sentenced by a court of competent jurisdiction. He should serve his term. There is nothing like should he be not. This is the problem about our judiciary, right? This is the problem with our judicial system. At the end of the day, the people go through the system and then you release them. The same case I just mentioned to you, Orji Zokalu, for example. Why would Orji Zokalu be convicted? And at the end of the day, he's in the Senate, he's a minority, what is he, a majority leader? What is he? He's a principal officer in the Senate. So we should allow people go through, regardless whether it's your brother or not. Let him go through the full system so that another person will understand that the system actually bites.
Well, that's what we are hoping for. Before another one, very controversial figure that seems to be fighting for the masses, very dark man.
I don't know that guy. Can we move on to another question? I don't know him. No, please go ahead. I don't want to start. No.
Why are you so pained?
I'm not pained.
It's such a polarizing figure.
So I don't even I don't follow
people
social media.
think that he's fighting for the justice.
I don't follow his cases, so I can't even comment on it.
Okay, so let's leave it alone because you're so pained about. What is your most interesting case on You don't have to give me names, obviously, for confidentiality purposes in human rights law at the moment.
Standing before court martial is exciting. So you see, whenever, not why you opening your mouth. I'm not the one who is doing court martial.
That's what I know. How do you get it? I know you are not the one. I thought that those people who do court martial, unless I don't
Right.
understand how the Nigerian system
So the
works,
court martial is that like
they are employed within.
yeah. So it's the soldiers, right?
yeah.
If a soldier is found culpable or does something that is not right, or against the law of the military code of conduct, instead of taking him or her to the civil courts, they have court martial.
Yeah.
Where you see the major general sit together.
Does it work in Nigeria?
Of course, there's court martial, yes. So they then bring in lawyers who can be military lawyers or who are trained in military laws and to represent them. So court martial is usually very fun, so much fun because I love to do court martial cases, represent people who abuse people's rights.
And you've presented one already in court martial cases, so
Not one, not two, not three. So I'd rather even go to court martial than to go to normal Nigerian civil cases because of the rubbish that happens in the Nigerian court system.
Why do you prefer the court
Because court martial is straight to the point, right? In as much as most of the time you don't get justice as it were supposed to be justice. No, when I say justice, there's justice that is expected of you. All right, that you must free my clients and let my clients go work scot-free and do all that. But your own clients, you're seeing justice in a different perspective, from a different perspective, right? So I'll give you an example. In one of the cases I handled, justice to that my client was that he should go and do IFL, right?
You have to tell my
imprisonment with
the audience
he will be imprisoned and he will do labor.
Okay.
Right? Now, however, that was what he was looking for. Some soldiers will tell you that they want to, justice for them is demotion, remove one rank. Some soldiers will tell you, or some officers will tell you, justice for me is that let them not promote me for one year or one step ahead. Let them delay my promotion. But you are saying, no, that's not what justice is. Justice is that they should acquit you, restore you with all your rights and all that. Justice to some of them is that they don't want to be executed. They don't want to be dismissed. Some of them, justice to them is that they want to be dismissed, right? With or without entitlement. So court martial system is for me is exciting. I like to walk in there. It feels like the lion's den because anything can happen to you in front of major generals or brigadier generals who are depending on your client. So I represented the major general at some point some years back, and it was one of those. At the end of the day, they suspended his promotion instead of demoting him. So of course, he's been a major general. There's nothing else other than the full general, right? After a major general, that's it. So they just demoted this promotion or held this promotion and all that, and then he left. So that for me is one of the most exciting cases I like to go to for the Nigerian civil courts, right? Or the Nigerian courts system, whether it's high court, federal high courts, court of appeal. The court system is...
This episode is brought to you by Fandango. People say fans are too distracted these days, but the truth is, when a great movie hits the screen, you show up, you stay glued, invested, part of the story. And without fans like you, there'd be no cinema magic, no shared moments. So head to Fandango.com to get tickets, stream, or rent or buy top movies and series. Fandango loves fans.
Protein is now at Starbucks, and it's never tasted so good. You can add protein cold foam to your favorite drink or try one of our new protein lattes or matcha. Try it today at Starbucks.
Is abused, right? I mean, judges are not well trained. Judges are hungry as well. They're like police officers. So people give them money, so and they collect money, and judgments is being bought, and people are not even afraid these days to say that they buy judges, all right, or they own judges. I mean, you can ask me how I know, when a minister wakes up and builds properties or builds houses for judges, and then you bring a case before that judge that involves that minister, and then what do you expect to happen? That's why Wike is winning all the PDP cases right now, right? At the end of the day, you have a Chief Justice of the Federal High Court going to meet a minister, begging and pleading with him to allocate properties and lands to them. How do you expect to get justice from there? I mean, I understand that Justice Kekere Ekun is trying her best in terms of trying to declutter the no, what she's doing essentially is the administration of the justice system, right? Where they are trying to ensure that court processes are faster. You can do trials, you can do all that, virtual trials and the rest of that. But at the end of the day, justice between you and I is supposed to be seen, to be done, and is supposed to be done. But when I then see that one party is the one who is always getting the favorable justice because he is closer to the judiciary, then there is a problem. Nigerians do not, if you look at what's it called now, the Transparency International Index, Nigerians don't even trust the judicial system. If you look at Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, that's a government institution that carried out a survey or research or whatever it is that shows that Nigerians don't trust the court system as well, because at the end of the day, people see what happens within the justice system. And I think that above and beyond trying to solve the administrative problem, the Chief Justice of Nigeria needs to look at the moral aspect of the judicial system and ensure that there is discipline, there is accountability amongst these judges. I would not say she's not doing anything. She's trying, especially when it comes to discipline of some of these judges. But the crux of the matter still remains that heads of courts must be accountable. There must be that form of accountability that heads of courts, when I talk of heads of courts, the chief judge of the states, the chief judge of the Federal High Court, the justice of the Court of Appeal, and the justices of the Supreme Court must be held accountable. We need to begin to audit these people to know where they are getting the monies they are getting to buy the properties they are buying abroad.
Well, you are in there, so do something.
What am I going to do? Am I EFCC? What am I going to do? Am I EFCC?
You just mentioned what they are doing. So maybe if we talk about it some more.
We've been talking about it.
Well, not enough.
Some more.
Not enough.
That's why I'm here talking about it.
Well, that's good. So the audience is hearing that because there's a lot of changes that needs to happen. I wish we can go on.
And then more importantly,
one last one.
Add,
yes.
It's quite important for us to ensure that the consolidated revenue of the judiciary, like they need to get their money directly from the consolidated revenue. We should not consistently allow monies to be allocated to them by the executive, because that is what is bringing about this judicial independence, right? Or this judicial interference from the executive. If they are getting their money directly from the source, they should be able to allocate monies for themselves to say, we need houses, we need homes, we need cars, and not be waiting for a governor to buy cars for them. And I don't understand why the Supreme Court makes its own laws. That's what we know. Why can't they make...
Okay, you're right, Governor.
Okay, bye-bye.
They don't want us to do that. Please don't. My audience are still listening. That's because of the broken system we have. That's why I say we need to talk about it some more. You need to lend your voice to it, how passionate and how pained you are about it.
I'm no longer pained, though.
Yes, you are, because look at you, the way you talked about it now. Anyway, we're going to leave Nigeria and talk on a very lighter note. Seriously, I know you're going to, this politics you're talking about, I know you're going to pivot into politics at some point. And when you do, don't become Festus Keyamo. Do not become Festus Keyamo, seriously, because before I came to Nigerian law school, I thought he was a human rights lawyer. He was doing great.
Well, he was.
No,
he joined politics.
He's been bought.
Bought by who?
I don't know what he's doing. Whatever. No, don't go through that.
But you can't be. You're the one. So would you advise me to go into politics?
Only if you are going to make a change.
How would you make a change?
I don't know if you do not have intention. If you don't have intention of making any change, there's no need.
I don't think. Anyway, thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for coming. We are so happy. hope we can have another section so we can, because Nigerian problem is so complex, is beyond complex. So thank you. So guys, please, thank you for watching the listing on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon. Thank you so very much for watching. Till next time. Bye. Okay, say bye to the guests to be stopping it.
Bye, guys.